My mother-in-law invited herself on our honeymoon, so I sent her somewhere else. Let me back up. My husband Trevor and I had been planning our Greek islands honeymoon for 18 months. We'd saved $8,000, booked a private villa in Santorini, and coordinated time off from both our jobs. I'd sent out save the dates a year in advance. Everyone knew. Everyone except his mother, apparently. 2 weeks before the wedding, she cornered me at the rehearsal dinner. "I've been looking at your itinerary," she said, holding up a printed copy of our private travel documents. She'd gone through Trevor's email. "You have that entire villa. There's plenty of room for me." I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. "Trevor needs someone there who knows him," she continued. "You two have only been together 3 years. I've known him his whole life." I looked at Trevor across the room, laughing with his groomsmen. He had no idea what was happening. "We're not bringing parents on our honeymoon," I said carefully. "It's supposed to be just the two of us." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Trevor always includes me. We're very close." The next morning, Trevor told me his mom had already booked her flight. Same airline, same departure time, seat right behind ours. I told her no, he said weakly. But she'd already bought the ticket and she was crying about feeling excluded from our life together. I'd noticed the pattern during our engagement. His mother at every dinner reservation, his mother calling during our date nights, his mother with a key to our apartment who'd let herself in to reorganize our kitchen while we were at work. "If she comes, I don't," I said. Trevor looked genuinely torn. "Maybe we could just let her have one day. She'll probably get bored and fly home early." I called the travel agent that afternoon. I changed our flights, our villa booking, switched from Santorini to a small private island off Croatia that required a 2-hour ferry from the nearest airport. I didn't tell Trevor. I updated our itinerary in his email to match. His mother's flight landed in Athens. Ours landed in Zagreb. By the time she realized we were already at our new villa, she called Trevor 37 times, left voice messages that progressed from confused to angry to hysterical. "How could you abandon me? I'm your mother." "You did this on purpose," Trevor said, staring at his phone. "I did," I agreed. "I married you, not her." He didn't speak to me for 2 days. Just sat on our private terrace, texting his mother constant updates about how uncomfortable and guilty I was making him feel. She sent him photos of herself crying at the Athens airport hotel, alone, abandoned, heartbroken. On day 3, I packed my bag. "I'm flying home," I told Trevor. "You can stay here and video chat with your mother, or you can have an actual honeymoon with your wife. Your choice." That's when he finally looked up from his phone. "You're being unreasonable. She went through your email, booked herself onto our honeymoon, and you're defending her." I headed for the door. "When you figure out who you actually married, let me know." I made it to the ferry dock before he caught up to me. His face was different, clearer somehow. "I blocked her number," he said quietly. "Just for this week," and I deleted her keycard access to our apartment before we left. We spent the next 5 days actually alone. No phone calls, no guilt trips, no third presence hovering over every moment. It was the first time in 3 years we'd been completely free of her. We flew home last Tuesday. His mother was waiting in our apartment. She'd had copies made of her key. She'd moved half her belongings into our guest room while we were gone. "If you won't include me in your life," she said calmly, "I'll just have to include myself." I couldn't fit what happens next in this short video. Watch the rest down below. I stared at the suitcases lined up against our guest room wall, 3 matching Louis Vuitton bags, a makeup case, a hanging garment bag with at least a dozen outfits visible through the clear panel. "How long have you been here?" Trevor asked quietly. "I arrived yesterday morning," his mother said, settling onto our couch like she owned it. "I hired someone to make copies of my old key. Cost $300. But clearly necessary since my own son tried to lock me out of his life." She'd also rearranged our living room. The photos Trevor and I had carefully arranged on the mantel were gone, replaced with family portraits that featured her prominently. Our wedding photo, the one where we're laughing, completely wrapped up in each other, was now facing backward on the bookshelf. "You can't just move in here," I said. "Why not? It's a 2-bedroom apartment. You have the space." She smiled that same cold smile from the rehearsal dinner. "Besides, Trevor needs someone to take care of him properly." "I take care of myself," Trevor said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Of course you do, sweetheart," she cooed, patting the cushion beside her. "Come sit. Tell me about the honeymoon, all of it. I want every detail I missed." I watched Trevor's face, watched the familiar guilt start creeping in. "No," I said. "Absolutely not. You're leaving. Now." His mother laughed. "Where would I go? I sold my condo. All my belongings are in storage. This is my home now." The words hung in the air like a grenade. "You sold your condo?" Trevor's voice cracked. "When? 3 weeks ago. The day after you blocked me from your apartment." I realized then that drastic measures were necessary. She folded her hands in her lap. "You were pulling away from me. She was corrupting you. A mother has to protect her son." I pulled out my phone and called the landlord. Left a voicemail explaining we had an unauthorized person in our apartment and needed the locks changed immediately. Called a locksmith next. First available appointment was tomorrow at 2 p.m. "Trevor, we're leaving," I said. "We'll stay at a hotel tonight." "I'm not going anywhere," his mother announced. "If you leave, I'll just be here when you get back. Then I'll have you arrested for trespassing." "With what evidence?" She pulled out a key. "I have a key. Your landlord has a record of me being on the approved visitor list. Trevor put me there when you first moved in." I looked at Trevor. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "That was a year ago," he mumbled. You didn't think she'd use it to move in?" I couldn't keep the edge out of my voice. "We ended up staying. What choice did we have? She was right about the visitor list. The police wouldn't do anything without us going through a formal eviction process, which could take weeks. That first night, she cooked dinner in our kitchen, used my pans, my cutting board, my knives. She'd also gone grocery shopping and filled our refrigerator with foods Trevor had liked as a child, foods he hadn't eaten in years. "Remember these dumplings, Trevor?" she said, plating them carefully. "Your favorite when you were 10. "I don't really eat pork anymore," Trevor said quietly. "Of course you do. Don't be silly." She set a plate in front of him with at least a dozen dumplings. "Eat up. You're too thin. She's not feeding you properly." I made myself a sandwich and took it to our bedroom, closed the door, heard them talking in the kitchen, his mother's voice rising and falling in that sing-song tone she used when she wanted something. Trevor came to bed around 11, didn't say anything, just lay on his side, facing away from me. "We have to get her out," I whispered. "I know." "Then why aren't you doing anything?" He was quiet for a long time. Then, "She's my mother. I can't just throw her out on the street." "She's not on the street. She has money from selling her condo. She can get a hotel, an apartment, literally anywhere that isn't here." "You don't understand," he said. "My whole life she's been there. Every birthday, every graduation, every important moment. She's just there. It's what she does." "Trevor," I sat up. "Your mother went through your email, booked herself on our honeymoon without permission, made copies of our apartment key after you deleted her access, moved herself into our home while we were gone. Does that sound normal to you?" He didn't answer. I spent most of that night awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to his mother moving around our apartment, the refrigerator opening and closing, water running in the bathroom, footsteps outside our bedroom door that would stop for long moments before moving away. At 3 a.m., I heard our bedroom door handle turn, slowly, testing to see if it was locked. It wasn't. The door opened 6 inches. I could see her silhouette in the hallway light, standing there, watching us sleep. After what felt like an eternity, she closed the door again. I got up immediately and locked it. The next morning, she made breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, fresh squeezed orange juice, set the table like we were a happy family. "Did you sleep well?" she asked brightly. "You came into our room last night," I said. "I was checking to make sure you had enough blankets. The apartment gets cold." "Don't do it again," she smiled. A mother never stops worrying about her child's comfort. Trevor ate his pancakes in silence. He'd developed this new habit of just not engaging. Like if he stayed quiet enough, the situation would resolve itself. The locksmith came at 2, like promised. His mother watched from the couch as I had every lock changed and had new keys made. Only 2 copies this time. "You can't keep me out," she said calmly. "I'll just call a locksmith myself. They're not expensive. If you do, I'll call the police and report a break-in." "Trevor, tell her she's not allowed here." Trevor stood in the kitchen doorway looking torn. "Mom, maybe you should find your own place. Just temporarily, until we can figure this out." "Figure what out?" Her voice rose. "I'm your mother. I belong here, with you, where I've always been." "You had your own condo," I said, "which I gave up because my son was slipping away from me." She was on her feet now, voice shaking. 27 years I dedicated my life to him. 27 years of sacrifices and unconditional love. And now this woman shows up and suddenly I'm an inconvenience? "You're not an inconvenience," Trevor said automatically. "You're just, Mom, this isn't normal." The mask slipped then, just for a moment. Her face went cold and hard. "Normal," she repeated. "You want to talk about normal?" Normal is a mother and son having a bond that nothing can break. Normal is putting family first. Normal is not abandoning the woman who gave you life for some girl you met 3 years ago. 5 years, I corrected. We've been together 5 years. Married for 3. She didn't even look at me. "Trevor, I'm staying. If you try to force me out, I'll make things very difficult. I'll contest the prenup. I'll tell everyone how you abandoned your sick, elderly mother. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of son you really are." "You're not sick," Trevor said quietly. "And you're 53, not elderly." "I'm sick with heartbreak." Her voice broke dramatically. "My only son throwing me away like garbage. I'd heard enough. Trevor, I'm leaving. For real this time. I'll be at my sister's place. When you decide to actually be married to me instead of to your mother, call me." I packed a bag while his mother followed me around the apartment, talking at me. "This is exactly what I knew would happen. You're tearing this family apart. Trevor was happy before you came along. He had a good relationship with me. We talked every day. We understood each other. Then you showed up with your demands and your jealousy." I walked past her and left. Stayed at my sister Veronica's apartment for 3 days. She lived in a studio in Brooklyn, so I slept on her couch and tried not to feel like a complete failure at marriage before we'd even hit our first year. "He has to choose," Veronica said on the second night, pouring wine into coffee mugs because she didn't own actual wine glasses. "You can't force him. He has to see how insane this is and decide what he wants more. What if he chooses her? Then you'll know now instead of 10 years from now when you have kids and she's trying to move into your house." On day 4, Trevor called. "Can we talk?" We met at a coffee shop halfway between his apartment and Veronica's place. He looked terrible. Hadn't shaved. His shirt was wrinkled. Dark circles under his eyes. "She's driving me crazy," he said. "She reorganizes everything the second I leave the room. She's cooked every meal. She's doing my laundry. She came into the bathroom while I was in the shower yesterday to bring me a fresh towel because she said the one I had wasn't absorbent enough. And I told her she has to leave. I waited. She said no. She said if I try to force her out, she'll hurt herself and tell everyone it was because I drove her to it. She's threatening suicide, basically, but in this calm, reasonable voice that makes it sound like I'm the one being irrational. Trevor." I reached across the table. "Your mother is manipulating you. She's holding you emotional hostage. This is abuse. She's my mother. That doesn't give her the right to control your life. He pulled his hand back, rubbed his face. I don't know what to do. She raised me alone after Dad left. She worked 2 jobs to put me through college. She sacrificed everything for me. How can I just throw her out? By recognizing that what she's doing now erases none of that, but also doesn't entitle her to your entire life. We sat in silence for a long time. The barista cleaned tables around us. The sun set outside. Finally, Trevor said, "Come home, please. We'll figure this out together. Not while she's there. Then I don't know what to do." His voice cracked. "I love you, but I can't just abandon my mother. She's not asking you to love her, Trevor. She's asking you to belong to her. There's a difference." I went back to Veronica's apartment alone. That night, Trevor's mother called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "We need to talk," she said, woman to woman. "I don't think we have anything to say to each other." "I think we do. Meet me for coffee tomorrow. 1 hour. If you don't like what I have to say, you never have to speak to me again." Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a Starbucks in Midtown. She was waiting at a corner table, 2 lattes already ordered. She looked different without Trevor there. Smaller somehow. Tired. "I'm not a monster," she said when I sat down. "I know that's what you think, but I'm not. You moved into our apartment without permission, because I was desperate." She wrapped both hands around her latte. "Do you know what it's like to build your entire life around one person, and then watch them slip away? You can't build your entire life around your child. It's not healthy." Easy to say when you haven't done it. Her voice hardened. "His father left when Trevor was 2, walked out and never looked back. I raised him alone. Every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference, every midnight fever. It was just me. I taught him to read. I taught him to drive. I was there for every heartbreak, every triumph, every moment. And now he's married and I'm supposed to just, what? Disappear? Become the grandmother he calls on holidays? You're supposed to let him live his own life. I am. I'm just trying to be part of it. By invading our honeymoon, breaking into our apartment." She looked away. "I handled those things poorly. I know that. But can you understand why I did them? Can you see that I was terrified of losing him completely? I'm not trying to take him from you, aren't you?" She met my eyes. "You changed the honeymoon without telling him. You had the locks changed. You took him away from me and now you're keeping him away. How is that different from what you're accusing me of?" I opened my mouth to argue, then stopped. She wasn't entirely wrong. I had changed the honeymoon to exclude her. I had had the locks changed, but those were defensive measures, weren't they? Reactions to her boundary violations, not initiations of them. "The difference," I said carefully, "is that I'm his wife. That comes with certain expectations of privacy and priority. You're his mother. That's important too. But it's a different relationship with different boundaries. And where do those boundaries leave me? Visiting, calling, having dinner with us once a week, being involved but not controlling." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Once a week, Sunday dinners where I sit and make small talk and pretend I don't know my son better than anyone. Where I watch you live the life I built for him. You didn't build a life for him. You built a life with him. There's a difference." "Not to me." We sat in silence. She hadn't touched her latte. Neither had I. "I'm not moving out," she said finally. "I've made my position clear. Either Trevor learns to balance both of us in his life, or he loses one of us. And I'm betting that after 27 years, I'm the one he'll choose." "Then you'll lose him anyway," I said. "Maybe not now. Maybe not next year. But eventually, he'll wake up at 45 and realize his mother stole his life from him, and he'll hate you for it. Or he'll realize his wife tried to cut him off from the person who loved him first and most." She stood up. "I guess we'll find out." She left. I sat there for another hour, drinking cold coffee and trying to understand how we'd gotten here. When I got back to Veronica's apartment, there were 17 missed calls from Trevor. I called him back. "She collapsed," he said. His voice was shaking. "I came home and she was on the floor, unconscious. Ambulance just left. They're taking her to Mount Sinai." "What happened?" "They think it was intentional. Empty pill bottle on the counter. Ambien. The whole prescription." My stomach dropped. They think she'll be okay. But," he broke down, "this is my fault. I pushed her too hard. I should have just let her stay. I should have." "Trevor, stop. If she did this, it's not your fault." "Then whose fault is it?" His voice rose. "I told her this morning she had to leave by the end of the week, and now she's in the hospital." I closed my eyes. The manipulation was perfect, threatening suicide, then attempting it right when Trevor put his foot down. Maximum guilt, maximum pressure to cave. But what if it was real? What if she'd actually wanted to die? "I'm coming to the hospital," I said. "No, don't. She specifically said she doesn't want to see you." She said, he stopped. "What did she say?" "That you drove her to this. That watching her son choose you over her was too painful to bear." "And you believe that?" Silence. "Trevor, answer me. Do you believe I'm responsible for your mother trying to kill herself?" "I don't know what to believe anymore." He hung up. I sat on Veronica's couch, phone in my hand, feeling the careful foundation of my marriage cracking apart. "She didn't actually try to kill herself," Veronica said from the kitchen. She'd been listening to the whole conversation. "She took just enough to scare him, but not enough to actually die. This is textbook manipulation. You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because I watched our aunt pull the same thing on our uncle for 20 years. Little suicide gestures whenever he tried to set boundaries. He ended up staying in a miserable marriage until he actually did kill himself. For real that time. I'd forgotten about Uncle Phil. He died when I was 12. Heart attack, everyone said. But Veronica was older. She'd known the truth. So what do? You give Trevor a choice. Her or you. For real this time. And then you accept whatever he decides." I didn't sleep that night. Kept thinking about his mother in the hospital bed. Tubes in her arms. Trevor sitting beside her, holding her hand and feeling guilty for wanting his own life. The next morning, I got a text from him. She's awake, asking for me, going to stay with her for a few days while she recovers. I texted back, where will she recover? Your apartment or somewhere else? No response. 3 hours later, my apartment. She can't be alone right now. I called him. He didn't answer. Left a voicemail. Trevor, I love you, but I can't be married to someone who's already married to his mother. If she moves back in, I'm done. I'll file for divorce. I'm not saying this to manipulate you or force your hand. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Choose. That was a week ago. I've been staying with Veronica, waiting. Trevor hasn't called, hasn't texted. I've checked his social media. Nothing. His mother's Facebook page is suddenly public, though. She's posting hourly updates about her recovery, about how grateful she is to have such a devoted son by her side, about how family is everything. The comments are full of people praising Trevor for being there for his mother, condemning the wife who abandoned them both during this crisis. She's winning. I can see it happening in real time. This morning, Veronica suggested we go to the apartment while Trevor's at work. Get my things, move on. He's made his choice, she said. He just hasn't admitted it to you yet. Maybe she's right. Maybe I've already lost. But I'm not ready to give up yet. I have one more card to play. That afternoon, I called Trevor's father, the man who'd left when Trevor was 2, who Trevor claimed to barely remember. It took 3 hours of internet detective work to find him. He was living in Portland, remarried, with 2 teenage kids. Hello? Hi, this is calling about your son Trevor. I'm his wife. Long silence. Then, how did you get this number? Social media. Some careful searching. I need to talk to you about Trevor's mother. I have nothing to say about that woman. Please. Just 5 minutes. Another silence. Then he sighed. Fine. 5 minutes. I explained the situation, the honeymoon, the moved-in belongings, the suicide gesture, everything. When I finished, he laughed. It was a bitter, tired sound. That's exactly why I left, he said. What do you mean? Trevor's mother and I met in college. She seemed normal at first. Sweet, attentive, maybe a little clingy. I thought it was cute. Then we got married and it got worse. She needed to know where I was every minute, called my office constantly, got upset if I went out with friends, started showing up at my workplace unannounced to bring me lunch. My skin prickled. When Trevor was born, it got even worse. She was obsessed with being the perfect mother. Wouldn't let anyone else hold him. Wouldn't trust babysitters. When Trevor was 18 months old, I came home from work one day and she was sitting in the dark, holding him, rocking back and forth. She said she'd been thinking about how much easier life would be if it was just the 2 of them, no one else to get in the way. Jesus. I started sleeping with one eye open after that, worried about what she might do. Then one night, I woke up, and she was standing over our bed with a knife, just standing there, watching me sleep. She said she was getting it from the kitchen to cut an apple. At 3 a.m., I felt sick. I left the next week, packed a bag while she was at the grocery store and never came back. Filed for divorce from a hotel room. She told everyone I abandoned my family, made herself into the victim, the poor single mother raising a child alone. And I let her because I was too afraid to fight, too afraid of what she might do if I tried to take Trevor from her. Did you ever try to contact Trevor as he grew up? Once, when he was 7, I sent birthday presents, called the house. She told him I was dead, said I'd died in a car accident. Trevor found out the truth when he was 16 and some relative let it slip at a family gathering. By then, the damage was done. He hated me for abandoning him, didn't believe my version of events. Does Trevor know any of this? About the knife? About what she said? No, I never told him. Figured it would just make things worse. She's his mother. He loves her. Who would he believe, the father who left or the mother who stayed? Maybe if you told him now. No, his voice was firm. I've built a new life. I have a wife who's actually stable. Kids who don't look at me like I'm a monster. I'm not dragging all that back up. I'm sorry your husband can't see what she is, but that's not my problem anymore. But Trevor is a grown man. He has to figure this out himself, just like I did. I'm sorry I can't help you more than that. But my advice? Get out. Now. Before it's too late. He hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, thinking about Trevor's mother standing over her husband's bed with a knife. Thinking about her saying life would be easier with just her and Trevor. Thinking about how she'd gotten exactly what she wanted. That night, I forwarded the recording of the conversation to Trevor. I'd recorded it with his father's permission, knowing I might need proof. Trevor called me 3 hours later. This is bullshit, he said. My father was abusive. That's why she left him. That's why she got full custody. He's lying to drive a wedge between us. Trevor, he abandoned us. And now he's trying to make my mother look crazy to justify what he did. I can't believe you contacted him. I can't believe you fell for his manipulation. What if he's telling the truth? He's not. How do you know? Because I know my mother. His voice cracked. I know who raised me, who took care of me, who was there every single day of my life. And it wasn't him. Being there doesn't make her actions now okay. She tried to kill herself because of you. Because you made me choose. Because you couldn't just accept that she needs to be part of our lives. Trevor, she took 6 Ambien. The ER doctor said that was enough to make her sleep for a while. Not enough to actually kill her. She knew exactly what she was doing. You're calling my mother a liar now? I'm saying she's manipulating you and it's working. Get your stuff out of the apartment, he said. I'll have it packed and ready for you. I'll text you when to come by. Come alone. He hung up. I packed my things at Veronica's place. It didn't take long. I'd only brought 1 suitcase when I'd left. 2 days later, Trevor texted, Saturday at 2 p.m. I'll be here. Mom will be out. I borrowed Veronica's car and drove to my own apartment like I was visiting a stranger's house. Trevor opened the door. He looked terrible. Must have lost 10 pounds. His eyes were hollow. Inside, all my belongings were in boxes by the door, meticulously packed, carefully labeled. He'd spent hours on this. "I'm sorry," he said. "I really am. I thought we could make this work, but she's my mother. I can't just cut her out of my life because my wife demands it. I never asked you to cut her out. I asked you to set boundaries. You asked me to choose, and I did." I looked past him into the apartment. All the photos were different now. Him and his mother at various ages. The two of them at his college graduation. The two of them at his law school graduation. Him and his mother at Christmas. No photos of us remained. "Where will you put your wedding photos?" I asked. He didn't answer. I started loading boxes into the car. Trevor helped. We worked in silence, making trip after trip. He'd packed everything: clothes, books, my grandmother's china, my laptop, even my toothbrush. On the last trip, I stopped at the door. "She's going to destroy you," I said. "Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually. And when you finally wake up and realize what she's done, I won't be there to help pick up the pieces. I'll take that risk." "Trevor, look at me." I waited until he met my eyes. "Your father isn't lying. I know in your gut you know that. Whatever story she told you about why he left, it's not the whole truth. And someday you're going to have to face that. Get out," he said quietly. I left. Filed for divorce the following Monday. Trevor didn't contest it. Signed all the papers without argument. We'd been married for 11 months. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks later. I heard through mutual friends that his mother was still living with him. They'd moved to a bigger apartment together. 2 bedrooms. But she'd taken the master and Trevor had the smaller room. She'd started calling him by childhood nicknames again. He'd stopped going out with friends. Stopped dating. Just worked and came home to his mother. I tried to move on. Started therapy. Went on some dates that went nowhere. Focused on my career. Made partner at my law firm. Bought my own apartment in Queens. Veronica thought I should be angrier. He chose his mother over you. You have every right to be furious. But I wasn't angry. I was sad. Sad for Trevor. Trapped in a life he didn't even realize was a cage. Sad for the man I'd married who'd disappeared under the weight of his mother's needs. Sad for the future we'd planned that would never happen. 2 years went by. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. "Hello? It's me." Trevor's voice. He sounded different, older, tired in a way that went beyond lack of sleep. "How did you get my number?" "Veronica." I called her office, told her it was an emergency. "Is it?" "Maybe, I don't know. Can we meet? Please? Just coffee." I shouldn't have agreed. I'd moved on, built a new life. But some part of me needed to know how the story ended. We met at the same coffee shop where we'd had our last conversation as a married couple. He looked terrible. Must have gained 30 pounds, all of it in the wrong places. His hair was graying at the temples even though he was only 32. His eyes had that hollow look people get when they haven't truly relaxed in years. "Thank you for coming," he said. "What do you want, Trevor?" "I need to tell you something." He wrapped his hands around his coffee cup, the same way his mother used to. "I think my mother is dangerous." The words hung between us. "What happened?" "She won't let me date. At all. I've tried. Met someone at work last year. Nice woman, accountant, normal. We went on 3 dates. My mother found out and she had a breakdown. Locked herself in the bathroom for 6 hours. When I finally got the door open, she'd carved my name into her arm with a kitchen knife. Shallow cuts, nothing fatal, but Jesus, Trevor. The EMTs came. She told them she'd done it accidentally while cooking. They didn't believe her, but they couldn't prove anything. After they left, she told me if I ever tried to replace her, she'd finish the job next time. I stared at him. "And you stayed?" "Where would I go? She has nowhere else. I'm all she has. If I leave, she'll do what? Kill herself?" "Trevor, that's manipulation. That's abuse." "I know." His voice broke. "I know that now, but I've known it for a while, and I still can't leave. Because what if she actually does it? What if I wake up one day and she's actually dead, and it's because I chose to have my own life? That's not your responsibility. She's my mother. That doesn't make you her hostage." He laughed bitterly. "That's exactly what I am." We sat in silence. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream, "I told you so." Part of me wanted to cry for him. "Your father was telling the truth," he said quietly. "About the knife. I found her journal. She kept journals from when I was a baby, detailed every day, every thought. She wrote about standing over my father's bed, about how close she came to killing him so it would be just the two of us. She wrote about how perfect everything became after he left. Did you confront her?" "Yes." She said she'd been having intrusive thoughts at the time, postpartum depression, that she'd never have actually done anything. But then she smiled and said, "Besides, it all worked out for the best, didn't it? Now we're together, just like it should be. Trevor, you need to leave. Today. Pack a bag and go." "I can't." "Yes, you can. You don't understand. She stopped taking her medication, her antidepressants, her anxiety meds, all of it. She says she doesn't need them anymore because she has me. But without them, she's getting worse, more erratic. She follows me to work sometimes. Sits in the lobby just watching. My boss noticed. He thinks I'm being stalked." "You are being stalked. By my own mother." I reached across the table, took his hand. It was clammy, shaking. "What do you need from me?" I asked. "Help. I don't know how to get out. Every time I try to make plans, she knows. It's like she can read my mind. I think she's bugged my phone. Maybe the apartment too. I can't prove it, but things keep moving. My passport disappeared. The money I'd saved to move out. Gone from my account. She said she invested it for us." Trevor listened to me very carefully. "You need to go to the police. And tell them what? My mother loves me too much? Tell them about the knife, the suicide threats, the financial control, the stalking. Get a restraining order. A restraining order. Against my own mother." He pulled his hand back. Do you know how that sounds? I know exactly how it sounds. And I know it's necessary. He stood up. This was a mistake. I shouldn't have called you. Trevor, wait. She was right about you. You never understood our relationship. You just wanted to tear us apart. Is that what she tells you? He didn't answer, just grabbed his coat and left. I sat there for a long time, watching through the window as he got into his car. Before he drove away, I saw him pull out his phone, saw him typing, probably texting his mother that the meeting was over, probably apologizing for talking to me. 6 months later, Trevor was dead. The official report said heart attack, sudden cardiac arrest, age 32, no prior health issues, tragic, unexpected. His mother called to tell me. She was calm, almost peaceful. I thought you'd want to know, she said. As his ex-wife. What happened? He collapsed at home. I called 911 immediately, but by the time they arrived, she trailed off. The doctor said sometimes these things just happen. Young, healthy people, no warning. Where were you when it happened? Making dinner. In the kitchen. I heard him fall and ran to help, but another pause. He was already gone by the time I reached him. Something in her voice made my skin crawl. Too calm. Too measured. Like she was reciting lines she'd rehearsed. Were you alone? Any witnesses? Just me. Why would there need to be witnesses? No reason. The funeral is Saturday. You're welcome to come, though I'm not sure you deserve to mourn him. You did abandon him when he needed you most. I hung up without responding. The funeral was at a small chapel in Queens. Maybe 40 people attended. His mother sat in the front row, dressed in black, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief. She'd positioned herself directly under the portrait of Trevor, the photo from his college graduation where he looked happy and young and alive. I sat in the back, watched as person after person came up to her, offering condolences, watched as she accepted them with grace, playing the grieving mother perfectly. During the eulogy, she spoke about their bond, about how close they'd been, about how Trevor had always put family first, about what a devoted son he'd been right up until the end. He died at home, she said, voice breaking, in the place where he felt safest, with the person who loved him most. I take comfort in that. After the service, I approached her. I need to talk to you, I said quietly. Not here, not today. She turned away. It's about Trevor's death. She froze, turned back slowly. What about it? I want to see the autopsy report. Why? Because I don't believe it was natural causes. Her face remained perfectly calm. Are you accusing me of something? I'm saying Trevor called me 6 months ago, told me you'd stop taking your medication, that you were becoming erratic, that you'd threatened suicide if he tried to leave, and now he's conveniently dead and you're the only witness. You have a terrible imagination, she said coldly. My son died of natural causes. The medical examiner confirmed it. If you spread rumors suggesting otherwise, I'll sue you for defamation. Then you won't mind if I request the full police report and autopsy findings. Do what you want. You'll find nothing because there's nothing to find. She leaned in close. Trevor was mine. He was always mine. You tried to take him from me once and failed. Death simply made permanent what should have been obvious from the start. He belonged to me, not you. She walked away. I filed a request for the full investigation records the next day. Got them 3 weeks later. The autopsy showed what the initial report said, heart attack. But there were some unusual findings. Elevated levels of potassium in his blood. Not enough to be immediately suspicious, but enough to note. I sent the report to a forensic pathologist I knew from work, asked her to review it. She called me 2 days later. Where did you get this report? Why? Because someone either missed something or deliberately looked the other way. These potassium levels, they're consistent with injection, not natural cardiac arrest. If you wanted to induce a heart attack and make it look natural, potassium chloride would be one way to do it. Hard to detect, looks like natural causes if you're not specifically testing for it. Could you testify to that? Testify? You're talking about murder. I'm talking about the truth. She was quiet for a long time. I'd need more evidence than just elevated potassium. Do you have anything else? I didn't. Just suspicions and gut feelings, and the memory of Trevor's terrified voice saying she won't let me leave. The police wouldn't reopen the case based on one doctor's opinion about blood chemistry that could have natural explanations. His mother inherited everything. The apartment, his savings, his life insurance policy, $500,000. She'd been the beneficiary on everything. I attended the reading of the will. Trevor's lawyer, an older man named Bernard, seemed uncomfortable as he read through the documents. Everything goes to his mother, Patricia Morrison, he said. Then he paused. There is one addendum, written 3 weeks before his death. Patricia straightened in her chair. Bernard pulled out a sealed envelope. Trevor left instructions that this letter be read aloud in the presence of all beneficiaries. The envelope is addressed to his ex-wife. He handed it to me. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Trevor's handwriting, dated 2 weeks before his death. To whoever reads this, if you're hearing this letter, I'm dead. And if I'm dead, my mother killed me. I know how this sounds. I know what people will think, but I need someone to know the truth. My mother has been poisoning me, small amounts, over months. She tells me it's supplements for my health, makes me take them every morning, but I've been feeling sicker and sicker, heart palpitations, dizziness, chest pain. I found the vial in her nightstand last week, potassium chloride. When I confronted her, she said it was for her garden. We don't have a garden. I'm scared. I've tried to leave 3 times now. Each time she does something to stop me. Last time, she overdosed on my medication and nearly died. The time before, she called my work and told them I was having a breakdown. I'm trapped. I wanted to reach out to you earlier, to tell you that you were right about everything, that I should have chosen you, that I should have set boundaries years ago. But by the time I realized, it was too late. I'm writing this and leaving it with Bernard in the hope that if something happens to me, someone will question it. Someone will look deeper. Please, don't let her get away with this. Trevor. The room was silent. I looked at Patricia. She was staring at me, face completely blank. This is absurd, she said calmly. He was mentally ill toward the end. The stress of our life together after his divorce, it broke him. He started having paranoid delusions. There's a vial, I said. He mentions finding a vial, which I explained to him. I had potassium chloride from my garden. You don't have a garden. I was planning to start one. This proves nothing except that my son was unwell. Bernard cleared his throat. I feel obligated to report this letter to the police. Report away, Patricia said. You'll find I've done nothing wrong. I was a devoted mother caring for her troubled son. If he was having paranoid thoughts, that's tragic, but it doesn't make them true. The police did investigate, reopened the case, searched Patricia's apartment, found nothing. The vial was gone. The trash had been emptied. Any evidence had disappeared. Without proof, they couldn't charge her. The case went cold after 6 weeks. Patricia sold the apartment and moved to Florida, posted photos on Facebook of her new condo, her new life. She'd made friends at her retirement community, took up painting, looked happy. I couldn't let it go. Spent months researching Patricia's history, found her first husband, not Trevor's father, but another man she'd been married to for 6 months in her early 20s. He'd died of a sudden illness, never married, no autopsy on file. Found her parents, both dead. Her father had died of a heart attack when Patricia was 17. Her mother had died in her sleep when Patricia was 19. Both deaths ruled natural. Found her college roommate, tracked her down through old yearbooks and social media. Patricia, the woman, Helen, sounded surprised to hear from me. I haven't thought about her in 40 years. Why are you asking? I'm investigating some things about her past. Helen was quiet for a long time. Then, is she dead? No. Why? Because I've been waiting for that phone call since 1983. What happened in 1983? Our other roommate, Lisa, died. They said it was food poisoning, but Patricia had made dinner that night, just for the 3 of us. Lisa got violently ill. Patricia and I were fine. Lisa was dead within 24 hours. You think Patricia poisoned her? I think Lisa started dating Patricia's ex-boyfriend. I think Patricia warned her to stay away, and I think Lisa didn't listen. Did you tell anyone? Who would believe me? Patricia played the devastated friend perfectly, cried at the funeral, helped Lisa's parents pack up her things. There was no evidence, just my gut feeling that Patricia was dangerous. Did Patricia have a pattern? With men, with friendships? She had a pattern of making people disappear when they got in her way, Helen said, but she was always so careful, so good at looking innocent. The perfect daughter, the perfect friend, the perfect mother, until you crossed her. I compiled everything. The dead husband, the dead parents, the dead roommate, Trevor's letter, the suspicious autopsy findings, took it to a detective I knew who specialized in cold cases. He reviewed everything over the course of 3 days. This is compelling, he said, but it's all circumstantial. We have no physical evidence, no witnesses, no confession. Every death she was involved with has a plausible natural explanation. A good defense attorney would tear this apart. So she just gets away with it? Unless you can find something concrete, physical evidence, a witness, a recording, there's nothing we can do. I didn't have anything concrete. Just certainty that Patricia Morrison had killed at least 4 people, maybe more, and had walked away clean every time. 3 months later, I was having dinner with Veronica when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Trevor's ex-wife? A woman's voice. Older. Shaky. Who is this? My name is Dorothy. I'm Patricia Morrison's neighbor in Florida. I need to talk to you about something that happened yesterday. What happened? Patricia has a new boyfriend. Man named Gerald, widower, very sweet. They've been dating for 3 months. Yesterday, I went to check on Gerald because I hadn't seen him in a few days. Found him unconscious on his kitchen floor. Called 911. They're saying heart attack, but what? But Patricia was there when it happened. She told the EMTs she'd come over to make him breakfast and found him like that. But here's the thing. I saw her leaving his apartment the night before. She was carrying something, looked like a medical bag. And Gerald had told me just last week that Patricia was pressuring him to put her on his life insurance policy. Is Gerald alive? In a coma. Not expected to recover. Did you tell the police what you saw? They said there's no evidence of foul play. That Patricia was being a concerned girlfriend. But I've been thinking about what you might know. I found your name in some old news articles about Trevor. I thought maybe you'd want to know that Patricia might be doing it again. What hospital is Gerald at? Dorothy gave me the name. I caught a flight to Florida that night. Gerald died 2 days after I arrived. Never woke up. Patricia was at his bedside when he passed, playing the grieving girlfriend. But before he died, I'd gotten his daughter's permission to request a full toxicology screen. Paid for it myself. The hospital wouldn't have done one otherwise. The results came back a week later. Elevated potassium levels, same as Trevor's. I took everything to the Florida police. Trevor's letter, the toxicology reports, Helen's testimony about Lisa, the strange pattern of deaths surrounding Patricia. This time they listened. Patricia Morrison was arrested on suspicion of murder. 2 counts, Trevor and Gerald. They're also investigating the deaths of her parents, her first husband, and her college roommate. The trial started last month. I testified about Trevor's letter, about his phone call 6 months before his death, about Patricia's patterns of control and manipulation. The prosecution brought in forensic experts who explained how potassium chloride injections can mimic natural heart attacks, how Patricia had worked as a nurse for 2 years in her 20s, giving her access to medical knowledge and supplies. Patricia sat through it all with perfect composure, dressed conservatively, a sad smile on her face, playing the wrongly accused mother. Her defense is simple. She's a grieving mother being persecuted by a bitter ex-daughter-in-law. Everything is circumstantial. Everyone dies of heart attacks sometimes. The elevated potassium could be natural. Trevor's letter was the product of mental illness. The jury is deliberating now. I don't know if they'll convict her. She's good at what she does. Good at looking innocent. Good at making others doubt their own perceptions. But even if she walks, even if the jury can't prove beyond reasonable doubt that she murdered her own son, at least Trevor's truth is out there. At least people know what she is. Last night, I went to Trevor's grave for the first time since the funeral, brought flowers, sat on the grass beside his headstone. I'm sorry, I told him. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I gave up and walked away. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder. The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere nearby, a bird sang. I stayed until it got dark, then drove back to my hotel. My phone rang as I was getting ready for bed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? This is Patricia. Her voice was cold. I wanted you to know something before the verdict comes in. How did you get this number? I get what I want. I always have. She paused. Trevor died loving me. Not you. Me. At the end, when he was dying on that kitchen floor, do you know what his last words were? I couldn't speak. He said, Mom, help me. He called for me. Not you. Never you. Because he knew who really loved him, who really understood him. You were just a distraction. A phase. I was forever. You killed him. Prove it, she said. Then she laughed. Oh wait, you're trying to. How's that going? She hung up. I reported the call to the police. They said they'd noted, but it wasn't admissible as evidence. She'd been too careful. Hadn't actually confessed to anything. The jury came back 3 days later. Guilty. Both counts. Murder in the first degree. Patricia's face didn't change when they read the verdict. She just sat there, perfectly still, perfectly composed. She was sentenced to life without possibility of parole. As they led her away in handcuffs, she looked directly at me, smiled, like she'd won something I couldn't see. Maybe she had. Maybe in her mind, she'd proven that her love for Trevor was so complete, so all-consuming, that even death couldn't separate them, that she'd rather see him dead than lose him to someone else. That night, I had dinner with Veronica. It's over, she said, raising her wine glass. Justice for Trevor. Is it justice? I stared at my plate. He's still dead. Gerald's still dead. Who knows how many others? And she spent decades getting away with it. But she won't hurt anyone else now. That was something, at least. I flew home the next day. Went back to my normal life. My job, my apartment, my therapy appointments, where I processed the fact that I'd married a man with a murderous mother and hadn't seen it until too late. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd fought harder during those first few weeks. If I'd been more patient with Trevor. If I'd found a way to reach him before it was too late. But mostly, I know the truth. There was nothing I could have done. Patricia had her claws in him from birth. She'd spent 27 years building a cage around her son's mind, and by the time I came along, the bars were already set. Some people think love means holding on at all costs. Patricia proved that some kinds of love are fatal.